Wow, historic moment as Bitcoin dumps, Ethereum dumps, SP 500, NASDAQ all dumping because of the war situation in Israel and Iran, right? But who could have predicted this? Who could have predicted this? Only if someone could predict this. Well, someone predicted this. Look at this. This is from Pablo's Discord just last week saying major warning about a World War III level event or major conflict is coming. Israel and Iran should have some big war news coming soon as well. Not only did Pablo call this conflict, but also called the price of how it's going to happen, right? June 11th, saying Bitcoin should have some sort of pullback. Even if it gets to 113, 114K, still can be a full fake out and pull back, right? More consolidation. Again, saying, I wasn't sure Bitcoin bottom at 100K or it's going to go to mid-90s. Still cannot be sure, even by June 10th, right? We can still be crabbing sideways for another 2 to 4 weeks. For Ethereum, can still easily turn down and keep bouncing inside the bull flag range. The bull flag range, I'll show you guys what it is, right? So basically, so many warnings. So if you've been watching, that's just for folks in my Discord and for people who are, but for people who have been watching me on my videos, you know I've been saying this all along. The last 4 or 5 weeks, right, just kept on repeating. Last 4 or 5, 4 or 5 days, kept on repeating that this is happening. So for Bitcoin, for example, we are looking at the pullback that was overdue. Even on the weekly, I was just saying that we're going to have was I not saying in my last video, in the very last video I just made for you guys, that this could turn into, I was looking for it to turn into a topping tail, right? Because it would be similar to this topping tail and would freak everyone out. Would have topping tail, double top here, topping tail, and we go down. Double top here, topping tail, and we go down, right? That would be really scary. That's what I said, literally my last video. So basically been saying, I don't think 100K, we can safely count that as the bottom just yet, right? We could still swing around here and then basically do something like this, mid-90s, and then boom, July might be the month we go up. This could still be a cup and handle pattern. Of course, like you can, as I kept on saying, I cannot rule out the probability of a double top here and we go down into bear market. That could always happen, but I did say many times, I think that's the least likely scenario. Least likely, maybe 10% chance. Now maybe 15% chance because of this war situation with Iran, Israel. Even Pablo was warning about that. I still maintain we do this, right? Nothing's changed in my forecast. Most likely we do this and then blow off top. We do this and then blow off top because this is what I've been saying all along, right? This is basically what I've been saying all along. Pull back for consolidation. Pull back for consolidation, right? Pull back for consolidation. Even if Bitcoin goes to 113K, we could still pull back and spend more time in consolidation, right? And if you look at that chart, that means even if Bitcoin got here to 113K, we could still pull back, right? Be a double top fake out, spend time in consolidation, wick down to the 90s, and then boom, in July we take off, right? And that would be a classic cup and handle pattern, right? So, but how the other coins looking? How is Ethereum and the other favorite altcoins? Which altcoins are we getting into on this pullback? Before I answer that question, first let's answer the question of which crypto exchange does Pablo Jimenez use? Well, Pablo uses this exchange that's non-KYC. That means you don't need to show your ID. That means even the exchange can't see who you are. Of course, the Americans can use it. That means the IRS can't see you. The FBI, the tax office can't see you, FBI, CIA, nobody can see you, total privacy. That's why Pablo made this deal with Bitunix, right? Just by depositing, get a 20% bonus, right? Deposit $200, get $40 futures trading bonus. Deposit $1,000, get $200, right? Futures bonus. And of course, all these wonderful prizes for trading, just for trading, right? MacBook Pro, iPhone 16, Apple Watch, all these great prizes. Even if you're in the top 20, right, you still get prizes. Okay, so limited time only. This finishes on July 11th. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then the link is in the description below. The link is in the description below. But if you're watching this on another platform such as this one, then just click on Pablo's profile page, right? And there will be my link tree or Stan link. And it should be the first deal that pops up. Okay, there we go. And let's get back to the markets, because this is a great deal. And remember, folks, only on the Pablo Heman link. So for Ethereum, I have been saying, for Ethereum, so by the way, even though everyone would be saying, oh, the war was unpredicted, whatever, but you can see the charts was pulling back. It was like 1.5 days of already pulling back before this war thing hit, and then Bitcoin pulled back even more, right? So sometimes the charts tell us what's going to happen. The market was weak already, and then this was an extra excuse to dump. Where are we going in the short term? Next 48 hours. Next 48 hours, could we just crash through and just go like 92, 93K, one of those big red days like this, like boom, 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 like this. Next 48 hours, I don't think that's going to happen, because look at this. We're going very negative. This is the most negative I've seen of this chart, of these futures funding. I keep on showing you guys this, right? When the market is negative like this, I think chances are we get a short squeeze, unless the small probability. You always talk about what's the most likely thing going to happen, and what's the small probability thing that's going to happen. Unless if the stock market opens and stocks dump. Right now, market is projecting a 1.5 to 2% dump in the NASDAQ and SP 500. Does it get worse? These are the futures. When the official SPY and NASDAQ 100, those indexes open, they're going to tell us. And by the way, I've been saying this all along, look at gold. Gold is up more than 1% and Bitcoin dumps. In a war scenario, in a major, for people who don't understand history, Israel and Iran, this could be a repeat of the Middle Eastern wars of the 70s. That's what caused the great stagflation for the United States economy in the 1970s, and interest rates went to something like 18%. Yeah, Fed funds rate went to 18%. It was crazy. So basically, for people who don't know how serious this is, let me just show you Fed funds rate. Okay, this thing at 5%. If you thought that was high, this was nothing, baby, nothing compared to what happened in the 1970s. Look at this, 19% for Fed funds rate. This was the year 1981, and this was 1980. But you can see we were on this cycle. Boom, higher wave, higher wave, higher wave, right? And now we're probably just lifted off. Higher wave, higher wave, higher wave, higher wave, something like that. Of course, we can't get to 19% this time. If we did, United States government, so many SP 500 companies, US households would all go bankrupt before we even reach like 8%. We'd probably get one more wave up in interest rates next few years if they keep on, if this war plays out. Trump is going to try his best to stop this war from happening. He's going to huff and puff and bluff and try to contain Israel. But look, silver actually did okay. It's really important for Trump to contain this war. Where else, the U.S. is heading into stagflation, like 1970s. Too early to call yet, but that's certainly on the cards, looking at the way gold is behaving, up 1% right now. Silver is actually okay. Look, it dropped to 35, closed with a big wick down, and now, right, pulling back a little. But that's after a big run from silver. Like, it was at $28, and now it's at $36. It's almost $37. That's like what, a 30-something% run? 30% run in like 3 months. That's a big run for silver. So as long as it can consolidate above this key 35.6 level, right? Silver is fine, and platinum in the green as well. So look at this, platinum still stay in the green, even though after such a kind of a crazy run. And you remember who was calling out platinum? Do you remember who was calling out platinum? Hey, who was the only one calling out platinum? Right? The best performing asset so far this year, Pablo called it again. It's platinum, right? When did Pablo call it? On February 11th. I said platinum would make a lot of sense as a long-term play, right? Better than silver. Silver is a catch-up play on gold. I was replying to Peter Schiff. But you know what's even better than silver? Platinum, right? Platinum used to be 2x more expensive than gold, and now it is almost 3x cheaper than gold. So it's a 6x move just to catch up to where it was historically, if we ever get back to that ratio, right? Better than gold, better than silver. If you speculative. If you wanna try platinum. None of this financial advice. Gold, of course, is safer. I think we can say gold is probably very safe. We can definitely say that actually. Okay, so let's have a look at Ethereum and where Ethereum's headed and how will that take to some of the altcoins we're looking at. ETH. Now, ETH. So, as I have been saying, this 2760 area is key. We need at least a few closes. We got two, but this was the topping tail. Above this area, where else it could be a fake out when dip back into this bull flag zone. So the black bull flag zone, the area I was looking for was low 2300s, or even a wick into high 2200s, like 2290. We didn't quite get there on this dump. There's a chance we bounce, make a dead cat bounce, and we wick down and do that, and then up we go. So of course all of this depends on that Trump can contain the Iran situation. People don't understand how bad this situation is, because most people are like, oh, where's Iran? Because they don't call it Iran in America. They say, where is Iran? Well, I'll show you where it is. This is the crude oil price. And look at this. This is a major run for oil price from $68 to $78, almost $78. That is a 14x run on oil, and oil never does moves like this. Like, unless there's war in the Middle East, when you look at oil, it does in one day 14% move. So basically, what happens is oil is everything. You don't need me to tell you guys this. If this war continues, then oil price spikes up, then inflation will spike up together with the. If inflation spikes up because of oil spike like this, and it could keep on spiking up if Iran and Israel keep going at it, then you got the tariffs. Trump calls it 50% on China. It's actually just compared to the start of his term, it's probably just 30% higher, because the 20% was already in during Trump 1.0, which was 2018. Compared to February, it's only another 10% hike, but it's still more inflation because American consumers pay for it. So basically, you have oil prices going up and you have tariffs, then inflation's definitely going up if this continues. And then forget about Fed cutting rates. We'd be lucky if the Fed doesn't hike rates, and of course that would kill the bull run. That would kill the bull run. Will we get a blow off top? I think we can still get a blow off top. What needs to happen is for there seems to be some sort of ceasefire in the Middle East region, and we just need Trump to maybe lower the tariffs, like, because he's got 10% tariffs on China and 20% what he calls the fentanyl duties. If he cuts fentanyl duties in half to 10% or even to zero, then the tariffs on China becomes 10%. If something major like that happens, then yeah, we could get a blow off top, and then basically then of course things take another twist for worse between Iran and Israel, and they start fighting again. They could fight for the next few years. But we just need like a 2-month period where they pretend they're negotiating for a peaceful process, and during that, the market has some hope that we'll get peace, and we could still have that blow off top. This could change everything. It's one of those big deals, one of those big interruptions in the market. Even though Pablo called this, Pablo said something major is going down between Israel and Iran. At the time, I did not think through the second order, third order, fourth order effects of once this thing starts happening, how bad the attack. I didn't know how bad the attack Israel was going to move against Iran. I knew the attack cut was coming, and I predicted it ahead of time, more than 99% folks in the markets, but I didn't know they were going to take out most, if not like 50% of the nuclear facilities inside Iran. I suspected that could happen. Couldn't say for 100%. Now we know 100% it has happened. I didn't know that they were going to kill the head of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. That's kind of like their paramilitary leader. But now it has happened. So now the situation looks quite serious. And I think we can still have a blow off top, but it's we need to see how the market reacts to this thing first. It is a major disruption to the markets. Okay, thank you for tuning in, folks. I'll keep you guys